I've only got 10 of those each, so there's more than you can fight over. That's the last one. Email me and I'll send it to you, or get it to mine. So what we're going to talk about is some of the key headlines about GDPR, and Shaab's going to be talking about those. So to put Shaab and KnowNow into context, KnowNow created a tool for consent, which is just one of the aspects of GDPR. GDPR is quite a lot bigger than just our little thing. Shaab helped us become GDPR compliant. We loved him so much. We said, can we, because we talked to a lot of companies about GDPR, and they say, well, what's the impact? We go, no, we don't provide that service. We just got a little tool. So Shaab's going to talk to you about some of those bits. They've got some bit.ly links here, and I've already pre-loaded a couple of those. So once we've gone through those bits, I'll just show you a couple of the quick links that you can go to. The idea being is that with this single sheet, you can go to your boss and go, I now know something about GDPR, and I know what we need to do first, so you can then go and get some money to go and get some new toys and tools to make yourself GDPR compliant. Bear in mind, this is a technology group. So, it's about giving you some empowered information to talk to your bosses with confidence to say, I know what I need to do. Or someone is talking to you from legal, marketing, or security, and they're going, GDPR, you're going, yes, I know about that. And as you hit me with words, I can go, yes, I understand what that means and the implications for me. And if you want any further details, you can contact us there. But I'm going to hand over to Shaab, who's going to talk to you about these 7 key areas.
Okay, great, thanks. Hi everyone. So let's start with the easy ones, I think, first. Let's start with number 6. Brexit will not matter. No, it will not matter, because the ICO of people that regulate Information Commission Officer. So they are the people that regulate information or data privacy, and they have already stated, regardless of whether we leave hard, soft, parboiled, whatever way we do leave the EU, we will be meeting the regulation under the General Data Protection Regulation, and I think they've already stated that they will possibly go for a higher standard that's in the regulation. I don't know if that's possible or feasible, but that's what they've said. I didn't see if anyone put their hand up. I was looking there when people said about 2. Yeah. Okay, fine. So, very quick history on this. We are currently under the 1998 Data Protection Act, and that covers all data, okay, personal identifiable data. We are now moving to the General Data Protection Regulation. It is law now, and you have to be compliant as an organisation by the 25th of May next year. Okay. The definition of personal identifiable information is very broad. Okay. So, for example, IP addresses, both static and dynamic, are classed as personal identifiable information. Some business email addresses are personal identifiable information. And before I go into this too deeply here, if you sort of say, oh, I'll encrypt everything, that'll get me out of a regulation, it doesn't. If you've encrypted data, it just means that you've taken one of the precautions under the regulation, you still need to comply with it. Okay? The role of the data protection officer created. So, under the new regulation, depending on what sort of data you hold and how much data you process, you may have a requirement to appoint a data protection officer. Okay? It's quite a narrow band, to be fair. It will only apply to the very large organisations. If you are required to appoint a data protection officer, they have some mandatory rights, statutory rights in law. They cannot be fired. None of their team can be fired for doing so. If a data protection officer comes along and says, Mr. Organisation, what you're doing is very dreadful and you're going to need to do this, and the organisation goes, that sounds a little bit uncomfortable or quite painful, I think we'll ignore that. Well, you know what? This guy's now marching around like a little dictator, going into HR and marketing and accounts and telling them all what they've got to do, let's get rid of him. You can't. You're obliged to give them continued education, and they act as part of the data protection authority within your organisation. Okay? So it's like bringing some of the data protection authority in your organisation. So you don't always have to appoint someone like that. If you do appoint someone, because most companies of a certain size will look to give someone this role, my advice is probably do not call them a data protection officer. Call them something else. Because if you do, they immediately have those rights under law from the job description. Okay? Unless you want to become a data protection officer and make sure your career is secure. That could be a way of doing it. Privacy impact assessment. Does anybody do these in your organisation?
I was going to say just briefly on that. So there's nothing in there that says, well, if they're acting like a data protection officer, then you know what they're a data protection officer. No. You have to be called that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have a contract of employment and it says data privacy officer, or but as soon as you say this is our data protection officer, they fall within that regulation and the rights granted to them within that regulation. Interestingly, regulation doesn't say anything about any formal qualifications they need. It's more about the qualities they need to exhibit. So they need to be able to understand European frameworks of law. They need to understand constitutions. They need to understand the principles of data privacy management. But they don't necessarily need to be from a legal background. So it's more about the qualities they need to exhibit. Okay. Privacy impact assessments. Has anyone been through one of these, or formed one of these, or been at the tail end of it, instigated it? I'm getting blank looks. I'm taking that as a no.
I think I might have done one today, but I'm not.
But you weren't sure if you did?
Yeah,
fine.
Like that.
Okay. So privacy impact assessment. This is an assessment to see how you are using someone's personal data, what you are going to do with it, and ascertain what the impact of that individual will be. That's it in a nutshell. Okay? Now, if you think about all the different processes you guys are involved in data, from different business units, what people are requesting and asking you to do, how many data privacy impacts assessments do you think you'll probably have to do in a year? Any idea? Average, I'll tell you, the average, from an average sized company of 450 a year. Okay? So a lot of people think, I'll do one, and that'd be great. And when we've done them in the past organisations, for the guys I used to be with before, they tended to take about a month, okay? Because a lot of organisations, large organisations, said, let's do a data privacy impact assessment, and then we've ticked a box, because you're under a legal requirement to do these, under a regulation. If the processing is going to have a big impact on the rights and freedoms of the individual, you have to perform one of these to ascertain what that is going to be and how you're going to mitigate it. Okay? So large organisations, we go and we do one, it takes about a month's work, it's very expensive, it's very costly, and then they turn around and go, okay, is that it then now? I've got my ticket, I've got my MOT on my car now for the year, I don't need to do another one, yeah? No. Any change of processing or any data, you need to do one. So it's worth being aware of that, because I'm sure that businesses will start to push this requirement onto the technical guys, or you'll be involved in it in some way, I am sure.
Are there tools, or do you imagine there will be tools that will, you obviously need to configure them for your systems, that will start to help you detect when you're changing the way you're processing data?
Okay. There is a raft of tools around privacy. This is a big explosion, okay, in RegTech call it, regulatory technology to help people manage these sort of processes. So, if we go back a few years, we saw the explosion in fintech, and everyone's going, oh, fin technology, it's fantastic, let's all invest in this. Exactly the same in web technology. And GDPR is really the prism for that, it's really sort of focusing. So, I think Chris is going to talk and show you some of these links as well. You can go to the ICO website. They give guidance on how you perform these privacy impact assessments. Some people do them manually with a spreadsheet, but there is technology out there, varying levels of complexity and cost on how to manage that process.
It's not just a documentation exercise, because done health service, medical imaging, ISO 9000 compliance, 410K for the US, and it's just a case of saying, as part of our development processes, we've thought about this, and this is the outcome. Is that how you would describe what this is?
To a degree. ISO 27001, etc., and if you want the US HIPAA, if you're looking at medical imaging, it's interesting because here in the UK, health service is free at a point of use, so you don't see a lot of litigation cases unless it's something dreadful. In the US, every 5 minutes there's a court case, and it's a highly regulated, vertical. It is very much around policies and procedures, to be fair, but it is also around understanding how that data is being used and the processes around that data, and if the processes on that data are compliant. So it's overuse of data. So if I came to part of an organisation, I said, what data do you have access to, and what data are you using? Well, we're using the name, address, email, telephone number. Okay, so I'm taking the address away. Can you still perform your task? Yes, I can. Okay. I'm taking this away and that away. So that's part of it. Over-processing is a big problem within data privacy management. And retention periods of data as well. So it's all around that. So it's not just about policies and procedures, really. It's about embedding that. I mean, the regulation talks about privacy by design and by default.
I was going to say, it's similar to, say, security or safety, where it's about designing the system up front, as opposed to doing it.
100%. 100% agree with that, because what you'll find is for companies and organisations that get on board now, or have already on board, and start looking at this, might not be compliant by May 2018, to be fair, depending on the size and the reach and the scope of their organisation. However, if you are reactive to the situation because you've had that knock on the door from a data protection authority, saying, we've had a complaint, we want to see your systems, we want to understand your policies and procedures, and how you're managing this at a technical level, i.e. who has access, why do they have access, how do you, protect data, the movement of data, it's going to be very costly. Because, do you know about the finding structures on this? Have you heard about this? This is why you'll probably start to get people talking to you about it. Okay, so at the moment, the Information Commissioner Officer here in the UK has a maximum fining ability of 500,000. The largest fine they've dished out is 400,000 for Yahoo, when they sort of went and lost a load of data. However, under the new regulation, if there is a breach of a regulation or breach of data, and a breach of data doesn't mean it's stolen as well, it means it's been lost, misused, corrupted, unauthorised access, and employees left and taken the database with them because they're hacked off, they're a bit annoyed. That constitutes a breach. If a breach is serious and affects individuals, it is now 4% of your company's previous year's turnover. Now suddenly everyone's going, you see a lot of people, FDs, and sort of going, not too worried about that, data protection, it sounds like a compliance issue. Hold on, 4%? What does that actually translate to our bottom line? If it's a technical breach, so it hasn't affected anybody, So let's give me an example. Your privacy notice isn't correct on your website. That can attract a fine of 2% of your previous year's global turnover. This is why this subject's got a lot of focus for businesses.
That's turnover, not profit.
That's
Previous year's global turnover. And I'll tell you why they've done that.
Some companies operate with that much profit margin. So
yes.
If you're Facebook and I come along and say, I want 500,000, it's like, take it and walk out of the room because I'm losing money talking to you. If it's 4%, suddenly it's a bit different. That's why. Where are we on this? New rates for citizens, including the rate breach to be forgotten. Do you know about the right to be forgotten? This is about deletion of data. Yeah? So individuals can come along and say, I want all my information deleted. That's fine. But think about how you're going to delete information on backups if they're on tape. Is your cloud provider able to support that? Can your cloud provider audit that? Yeah, and show that's been done. If you've made that information public, i.e. social media websites and things like that, you also have to consider how you're going to take all that down. Okay? Because at the moment, an individual might come along and say, I'm really hacked off with the service you gave me. I want you to delete all my information. Don't send me any more emails. That's fine. They very rarely come back and say, can you actually demonstrate deletion? There's also a new way of data portability. Are you aware of this one? Okay. Data portability is where you go, I want you to take all my personal information you hold on me and send it over to someone else. Could be one of your competitors, could be someone else. You are now obliged to send that data in a commonly electronic form over to that person of their choice. So it's a bit like we're seeing in banking, where you can share banking details, and it's supposed to be easier to move from bank accounts. Exactly the same principle around personal information. You should be able to move it, and it's you to do it, to move it from one to whoever they want.
this is supposed to be in place by May next year.
Yes, it's looking a bit closer now, isn't it?
Where's the money? So if you get the fine of up to 4%, who does that go to?
Information Commissioner Officer if it's UK.
Is there any? Will it ever go back to the individual who's made the complaint?
Okay, so let me give you a bit of a. That's a good question.
Like,
No, no is the
Right.
answer, unless they decide to bring a court case. So, we all know the case when you're driving along, car comes and hits you in the back, suddenly everybody's got whiplash, now everybody's got trauma, they're having nightmares, and they want to claim a lot of money through the solicitor. What's the first thing they ask? Is there a police report that shows it's the other driver's fault? As soon as they've got that, they go to court and make the claim. Exactly the same situation here. By the way, losses are now in the regulation. Before, it's actual losses. Now, it's non-actual losses as well. So I can claim for emotional distress because you sent me that email offering me 10% off that cooker. It's really upset me. Can't look at a cooker anymore. Okay, so that's the case. Class actions as well. So if what you've done affects more than one people, multiple people, they can all club together.
I just wonder whether there'll be a load of people from all these dubious countries that you get standing off from now who'll be signing up for everything they can possibly think of, and then in a year's time saying, right, prove that you've removed me, I don't want to hear from you again. If you can't, I'll go to court. So, yeah.
The new PPI maybe? I don't know. I wouldn't like to say. You know. What else should we talk about here?
Surely though with all of this, I mean, again, it's proving that you are doing everything to the best of your ability. Doing the best of your ability to get that by.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Wood, who is the, I don't want to, degrade his title, I believe he's the International Strategic Development Guy for the ICO, has said there will be no grace period for this. Okay? So, when you're talking about ISO 27001, for example, and you have that ISO audit, and everyone runs around like a maniac, making sure they're ready and showing their documentation, ISO is very much about continued improvement. That's how you maintain and get certification. It's like, look, we did 75% of what we wanted to do. This year we're up to 80%, and that's how you move forward. This is different. 25th of May, compliant. It's law now. It's just you've got to a 25th of May 2018 to be compliant.
Sounds like on the 26th of May I should go to a whole other website and say, please delete all my data. I'd like the serial numbers of every hard disk and every tape. Or by the way, would you just like to pay me off and see how much money I can make?
I personally couldn't comment on that. But it's not a bad pension fund, is it?
I'm going to do it on the 25th of May, so I think.
Everybody's legal room.
Have you been on a
Yeah. So we've covered data portability, won't to be forgotten. We're talking about equivalent responsibility between data processors and data controllers. So this is an interesting one. At the moment, so do we understand the difference between a data controller and a data processor? Okay, very quickly. Data controller, I'm an organisation. I collect your data because I'm providing you with a service, whatever it is, financial advice, widgets, donuts, online, doesn't matter. I take that information and I use it, yeah, to fulfil what you wanted. And there are a couple of reasons why you collect information. One is because I've got consent from you. I'll pass over to Chris in a moment. Or one is it's because of a legitimate interest of my business. And that's not a silver bullet to get out and meet the regulation. If anything, that's just as hard. And there's vital interests of the country, national security, that sort of thing. But I've taken that information, and then I say, dear Mr. AWS, or dear local company, whoever, can you back this up for me? Or I'm running it on a CRM which is in the cloud. Now, they don't decide what to do with that data. They only do with that data what I've told them, under written instruction. And under the new regulation, there is a raft of obligations they have to meet now. Yeah? As well as having a contract, they have their own rules they have to meet. However, if they get the data lost, so if they are breached, or they misuse the data, and you get a complaint from an individual, you cannot turn around and go, it was those guys. Because moving forward, liability is joint and several. So as an individual, I can come to you and say, I don't care whose fault it was. You can blame your CRM system, you can blame your backup provider, I'm coming after you. In the background, you might have your contract, but in the initial instance, I'm coming to you. So that £50,000 contract you had in place now presents a liability of 4% of your turnover. So you might want to start reviewing all those third-party contracts you have in place. And you are under due diligence to do that as well, by the way. You can't say, oh, I chose X, Y, Z because my cousin works there and he's a great guy. Even if he does, it won't be the case. Won't be forgotten. Person data controller. Is already legislation, cover that. Actually not a matter. This is good legislation. Okay, so how do I turn this around? Because I think I've depressed her up. Anyway, it's quite a good one. Do I end on a song and dance?
Yeah,
okay.
You get your choice.
The good thing is, from a regulatory point of view, or from a consumer point of view, is on recent surveys, most consumers, 55%, 56%, are putting trust in the organisation on how they use their data over and above customer service. So they are concerned about how you are not just protecting data, but using it. Okay? So if you meet this, and you can demonstrate this, and you actually get on board with it and don't see it as an add-on or a drag to your business, which you probably do, if you can actually start to really incorporate this in your business, I think that's something you can shine about. Is that okay? Any questions on what I've just said before I sit down?
Is there any talent in the country you store the data?
Any
talent? In which country do you store the data? I mean, I have a business in UK,
yeah.
so my data in another country.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Okay, so that's Articles 40 to 44 of a regulation around data transfer. You can only store data in the European Economic Area. Okay, so that's all 28 member states, 27 soon, 28. So certain countries that are classed as having adequacy status, Guernsey, Jersey, Israel, Isle of Man, Uruguay, I think, Canada, it's about 6, 7, 8. And there are more applying. I'm sure after Brexit we will apply for adequacy status. If you are sharing data in the US, particularly, then we have an agreement, a framework for that called Privacy Shield 2.0. Used to be Safe Harbour, big famous case amongst us privacy guys, where that all collapsed and it caused a lot of problems. That was based on Facebook. So that is a mechanism. So the US company has to sign up for that, and then you can share data with you on US servers. If they're not signed up to that, or the country you are, perhaps it's, another country, Russia or somewhere like that, but you want to have that information, the only way you can do it is through codes of conduct agreed between the organisation and that organisation. If it's the same corporate structure, you can do it through what we call binding corporate rules, where you all agree, regardless of where you're based, to adhere to the same regulations internally. That's a big topic. So think about mapping data flows and transfer. And that's one of the questions you should be asking your processor when you're doing your due diligence. Where you're keeping the data, do you use any sub-processors? Where do they keep their data? So, push some liability out, because that's why you went to them in the first place, I guess, to make your life a bit easier.
So, if I'm a retailer
Yeah.
and I'm selling stuff to customers in the UK, and I have a US site, or not even don't have a US site, but I have US customers coming across, do I have an impossible liability here?
Right. So, for
Or vice versa, I'm a US retailer.
That's the question. So there is a difference.
Yeah, but does this affect how sort of retail infrastructures, for instance, that's the thing I'm thinking over,
Massively.
Does that affect how we have to
100%.
infrastructures we can put in place?
Yeah, 100%. Because if you are selling into the US, as I said, they have different regulatory setups around privacy. Yeah, they have, it depends on what vertical it is. But if it's an individual buying, the consumer laws around privacy is pretty, Wild West, not Wild West, but a lot more lax. Yeah.
Well, they're on a state-by-state basis for stuff.
Well, you've got federal law, you've got state law. California tends to be the most privacy restrictive in terms of that, but it's more verticalised privacy system depending on what vertical you're in. But if you're selling to them, you'll probably have to adhere to GDPR, okay, or the Privacy Electronic Communications Regulation, which is all around direct marketing. If the thing is more around, the bigger question is, let's say you're a UK retailer, you have an online presence, and someone or individuals from Italy, are buying your goods. There is a system or a concept or a new thing called a one-stop shop. The one-stop shop means that I'm in Italy, I've bought goods from you, I'm not happy about the service, but the way you've used my data, I go to the Italian Data Protection Authority, make my complaint, or individuals make their complaint. The way it works is they go to the UK Data Protection Authority, I say, we've had a complaint, are you going to deal with this? We want you to deal with it. They can say yes or no. Or we've had a complaint, we both want to deal with it, we want to deal with it as well, or we've had a complaint and we are going to deal with it. So you as a UK retailer could end up dealing with an Italian data protection authority. And you are under an obligation to be able to communicate with them in their own language. And you could end up in an Italian court. Any more questions, or shall I hand some Prozac round?
It sounds like it breaks eBay. I mean, if I'm as a customer using eBay to purchase things that are in China, then you're transferring my name and address over to some retailer in China in order to post me the goods. It doesn't sound like you've described a framework where that's allowed, because they're not within the list of countries.
Okay, so there's a couple of things there. One is, one is around the transfer of personal data within the EU. Yeah. If you are marketing outside of the EU and that is your core business, you will have to find a mechanism to do that. Either, as I said before, frameworks, BCRs, codes of conduct, etc., or you can set up a representative in that country.
So does that mean every retailer on eBay has to do that?
Well,
or is it eBay that has to do that?
It's easy.
That's like retailers do what they normally do is ask for forgiveness and not permission.
Well, I think that's the case, but now because of 4%, I think that's why it's there. Sort of go, I can't really do that now. I have to do something. And by the way, the ICO already have their fining targets for enterprise, SMB, and micro businesses.
Sure, that's about consent. If you're buying something from someone in China, implicitly they have to know enough details
Cheers.
to fill
Thank
that
you.
request. So implicitly, you've given them consent to have that information.
It was about the
problem. You say for the solution.
between
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm the solution. So everything I've just said, I can help.
they share
I won't say the baby's ugly unless I can make it look pretty.
Yeah.
And as long as they've got a record that I've given that consent, then maybe
That's a brilliant segue, but we'll come on to that in a sec. I just want to show you quickly some of the links because they're really cool and really useful. And there's one in particular right at the bottom that I'm a big fan of. So hopefully we can get this right. Okay, so the first one is this fella here. People often ask, what is privacy data? What is personal identifiable information? What does GDPR cover? If you go to this page, download the infographic, and it just gives you a clear view in one single page of A4 what the hell have I got to worry about from a PII perspective. So it gives you that single snapshot. You can leave it on your desk and go, that's what it covers. And do I have any of this in my world? If I do, I need to worry a bit more than if I don't. So I really like that graphic, and links there. The other one is this article in LinkedIn is the best I've ever seen on GDPR. Cut through the GDPR noise. It's from a lady called Sarah Day, and it absolutely covers everything that you need to worry about. But one of the other places that I really recommend you go as a starter point is this fella here. That's the top link, which is preparing the General Data Protection Regulation. There's 12 steps to follow. And then one of the other links, there's how to conduct a PIA, and there's also a link on if you've got to handle, someone's just given you that, you've got to solve GDPR in one organisation. It's kind of like the 101 guide on what questions do I want to ask next. It's a great article from EduServe. And the thing that it says on is focus on consent. And the reason why we got involved in this world of GDPR and data protection is KnowNow created a consent management tool. So this is something that sits for devs to enable them to capture very easily the ability to share and consume personal data through a cheeky little GUI. And if you look on the we've got a little graphic there, a screenshot of what Consentua is all about. And fundamentally, We've got a framework that manages the consent request, and you use this slider interaction to change as a user, so that's us as citizens, a user, to change the level of information we will share. The framework is just asking you what data subject, data type you're looking to use, what will we use it for the purposes, so giving you that quid pro quo. What that captures is an open standard consent receipt. We're working with Kantara, the other guys own Auth 2. So there's this link between consent and identity that's probably very strong. So who am I and what do I want to share? We made the comment right at the bottom that this is good legislation. So when you go forward as to what is going to happen in our digital economy, and we're working with the University of Southampton on this, hence why I know some of your future colleagues. And there's a project there called Meaningful Consent in the digital economy. And it's a really cool project. And the guy called Richard Gomer is part of our design team. And he's come up with this concept called consentfulness. And consentfulness is a measure of the consent and trust between you as a citizen and the organisation sharing your data. If you have a high consentfulness score, that means you can be trusted. It means you can, a bit like TripAdvisor or Trustpilot, you can now start verifying, yeah, I like that organisation because they've got a good consentfulness rating. And what this means is that as you start creating more things with some kind of sentience on the edge, and they start interacting with you, beacons, or going to a retail store and you're having screens popping up with, you must have this. You go, why do I want it? That's really scary. It's because you've asked your device, probably your smartphone, to share bits of personal information with you. This is going to be done in an autonomous, independent way. And at the end of the day, it'll say, Chris, today I've allowed 4 bits of your personal information to go. I hope you have really good service from him. Or I've actually turned down these bits of personal information because it was intrusive and it was against your consentfulness rating. So you wouldn't allow anyone to have any data that had a consentfulness score of less than 0.8, for example. So that's where we see the future developing. GDPR is just a bit of a year 2000 moment, but it's going to be ongoing because it's all about the shift to personal experience and the way customers will use data to get that, what we call the rockstar experience. And it all starts off with going back to right at the beginning, your privacy impact assessment, and just understanding where the data is, and then removing data you don't need to process, saves you money, gets the finance director on side, gives you some more cash. You can then go out and buy some tools to make those privacy impact assessments a lot easier because it's an ongoing basis. It's just not a once in a while thing. It's something that will become pervasive across your organisation and implement things like privacy by design and those principles. So as the apps start coming up for refresh, you go, right, are you GDPR ready? Have you got the consent capture mechanism? Have you got an understanding of where the data is and where it's stored? And then you'll start moving this out into a more GDPR compliant world. If you'd like some more information on GDPR, talk to the expert. If you want to know about consent and working in a tech business in Portsmouth, come see me. Thank you for your time. Cheers, guys. I've got some handouts here. The printer didn't do same page, so it's actually 2 bits of paper. So sorry about that. Thank you, Mark.
We'll distribute them around as well as part of the Meetup group.
Cool.
We can stick them up on the Meetup group if you want.
Yeah, no, I'll put it up there as well. Please feel free to share it as well.
So big thanks to both or all of our speakers today. Just another round of applause. We're planning on doing these on a quarterly basis, so the next meetup we're planning on doing on the 2nd of August, I believe. And I've got that date completely wrong. But it's around that time, so we're trying to do it on Wednesday night. If you've got any sort of feedback about the location or any of the catering or anything like that, just let me know and we'll try and do our best to sort of accommodate. We've got quite a wide area trying to cover here, so hence why we're trying to live stream it. Slightly failed. So I hope to see you all at the next one and sort of pass it on to colleagues and friends and sort of get the word out there and sort of get a few more people along next time as well. So cool. Thank you all for coming.
No, thank you.
Have yourself a pizza on the way out.
My son actually gave me a bag and said, "Guess what?"
If anyone wants a info sheet, we'll use both sides. You can get both on the
the idea. So,